by film.
5,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
Sneaky little oranges.
Spider-Man, hero or menace?
Dear Indugo.
Dobby the house elf.
Who holds sway over the 5 points?
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
This is my family.
There's a hole in this cake.
You concur?
I'm a bloody island. I'm bloody Ibiza.
How about new, you crazy Dutch bastard?
All right, well, welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers. We are a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from 2 decades ago while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim,
and we are coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. On this episode, we are bringing a new concept for our show where we dive a little deeper into the film time capsules of the past and go back 25 years to 1997 instead of 20 years to 2002. So this is, I guess, technically more of a 25 years, 4 beers. As a result, we decided to start with one of our all-time favorite films and one we have lovingly mentioned as often as possible on past episodes, 1997's L.A. Confidential. L.A. Confidential might be set in the glitzy and glamorous 1950s Hollywood, but don't let that fool you. L.A. at the time was full of all kinds of sordid underworld dealings. As such, we follow 3 L.A. detectives, one by the book, one brutal, and one more sleazy than the rest, who are all entangled in a murder investigation that immediately is not what it seems. All 3 go about this case in their own way and with their own views on justice, but in the end they must decide who can be trusted and who, in their own ranks, might just be the mastermind behind it all.
Miss, I'm Lieutenant Exley. I'm sorry to have to ask you this. I need to know what time they left you.
Get her to the hospital.
I realize this is difficult.
Give your career a rest. Leave her alone.
A naked guy with a gun? You expect anyone to believe that?
Get the away from me.
How's it gonna look in your report?
It'll look like justice. That's what the man got. Justice.
You don't know the meaning of the word, you ignorant bastard.
Yeah? Well, you think it means getting your picture in the paper. Why don't you go after criminals for a change instead of cops?
Stensland got what he deserved, and so will you.
You're welcome. The film is directed by Curtis Hanson, adapted from a James Ellroy novel by Hanson and Brian Helgeland, and the film stars Guy Pearce, Russell Crowe, Kevin Spacey, Kim Basinger, James Cromwell, Danny DeVito, David Strathairn, and Ron Rifkin. So before we continue, I want to say that films should be taken on the merits of the creation and not the acts of those involved. So obviously we are not going to discuss Spacey's life outside of these films, but also want to acknowledge that does exist, and for some people it's enough to discredit films like this.
Sure.
That is not us, though.
No.
We are believers that The Cosby Show was a great show, The Pianist is a great movie, and this film is as well, despite what those involved have done in their past.
Yes.
So we're just going to leave that there.
It's a nice disclaimer. I like that.
Thank you. It's needed because it is weird to see Kevin Spacey on film sometimes. You watch Usual Suspects back and you're like, God, this is so good. But
7. You're like,
Yep. So to get us started, though, our first segment, as always, is Drinking Buddies.
Come on, not my beer.
Where we present the 4 beers we will be drinking while rewatching our subject film. No real theme beer options. Tim did find a couple that we ended up not doing because I went out of my way to put the kibosh on that.
I'm still processing. It's okay.
We'll be all right. But I also did not search hard for a theme beer, so in fairness to Tim. We do, however, have a Strange Brew back in our midst, so that is something to look forward to, hopefully. Tim is going to walk us through our beers for the episode, so please take it away.
Today we are enjoying all 4 options from one of our favorites in the state, Montgomery Brewing. And just realized when you brought these over how cool it is to now live, even though we're watching a movie from quite a long time ago, in a modern age.
Yeah,
where
look at us.
Breweries in Minnesota can sell like individual tall boys.
It's amazing.
What a concept.
But only so many.
Exactly.
You can only buy 128 ounces. That's it.
Yep.
Won't somebody think of the children?
2 4-packs.
That's right.
That's enough. But the fact that it's not a crawler is kind of a nice little watershed moment. So this is kind of exciting. We're going to start with their lemon sass, which they are clear to point on the label, is not a shandy.
They told me that multiple times in person, too.
It's just so funny to see.
It's not a shandy.
I didn't want a shandy on the side, as it says here. So I'm very excited to try this.
It's like, it's a wheat beer with lemon. They said it's like lemon juice or lemon, like the reason it's not a shandy traditionally is because the way they make it or something like that. Gotcha. I wasn't really paying attention.
I was enjoying the shandy.
Yeah.
Then we have just a standard, nice long ball lager. I'm kind of excited to see this, to see what it's like, it's summer. It's super hot right now. So
yeah, these are good hot beer or hot day beers.
We'll enjoy that. Then we have their Dragon Star Galactica, a kettle sour with dragon fruit and mango with tiny print, contains lactose. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And then we're going to have their double IPA. I'm not sure if it lists any kind of...
They generally don't list their hops and stuff on their labels.
No.
So
we'll try that. Yeah. But those are the 4 we're going to
literally called double IPA.
Double IPA.
Which I appreciate. Sometimes it's nice to walk into a beer. There's a brewery in Jordan, Minnesota called Rowitz, and all of their beers are IPA, double IPA, stout, peanut butter stout. Like nothing has a fancy name. Yep. Apple ale. Like I was like, you know what? Thank you. I don't have to ask what it is. The name is just there.
What's the make and model of your car?
Car. It's 2002 car. All right, thank you. So our next segment is the social network.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
Where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 25 years ago. I think I wrote 20. Yep. Tim is going to take point on our reviews as usual. So Tim, what did critics say way back in 1997?
The IMDb rating is 8.2 out of 10, so very solid. Ann Hornaday out of the Baltimore Sun wrote, a glamorous, alluring entertainment that revels in the artifice of Hollywood while exposing its corrupt heart. LA Confidential pays stylish homage to some of the great film noirs of the distant and recent past. Matt Noller of Slant Magazine said, LA Confidential understands that men don't always respond to evil with good, and that the question of whom society regards as heroes isn't always as clear-cut as it seems. And big man Roger Ebert gave it 4 out of 4 stars. Not surprising. He said, one of the reasons LA Confidential is so good, why it deserves to be mentioned with Chinatown, is that it's not just plot and atmosphere. Perhaps an hour into the movie, there seemed to be no way all of the complex events and compelling characters could be drawn together into a plot that made sense. But director Curtis Hanson and co-writer Brian Helgeland do pull the strands together into something seductive and beautiful, cynical and twisted, and one of the best films of the year. Speaking of that, best films of the year, it was nominated for 9.
Mm-hmm. You'll get there.
I swear I haven't. Yeah,
it's right.
They were nominated for 9 Academy Awards. The 7 that they did not win were for film editing, sound mixing, production design, original score, cinematography, director, and picture. Not surprisingly, that year it lost in all those categories to the behemoth known as Titanic.
Yep.
But the 2 categories in which it did win were adapted screenplay by, again, Helgeland and Hansen, and supporting actress for Kim Basinger, who won over Joan Cusack for In and Out, Julianne Moore for Boogie Nights, Gloria Stewart for Titanic, and Minnie Driver for Good Will Hunting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Joan Cusack in In and Out is so good.
She's so good. You're like,
just love her. She's so good in that. All right. Well, thank you. That will bring us to the good part, as usual here. So where we get to enjoy the beers and rewatch the movie. I would encourage you, once again, to watch along or pause at this point until you see it, because there will be spoilers from here on out. You are once again forewarned. On that note, directed by Curtis Hanson, here is LA Confidential.
Welcome to Los Angeles, the city of the future.
May I make a suggestion, sir?
By all means.
The public will expect the department to protect its own and sweep this under the carpet. Don't. Shift the guilt to men whose pensions are secured. Force them to retire. But somebody has to swing. So indict, try, and convict Richard Stensland and Bud White. Secure them jail time. The message will be very clear. This department, your new LAPD, will not tolerate officers who think they're above the law.
right to MGM.
Since when do two-bit hoods and hookers give out autographs?
Just say to me.
LAPD, sit down.
Who in the hell do you think you are?
Take a walk, honey, before I haul your ass downtown.
You are making a large mistake.
Get away from our table.
Shut up. A hooker cut to look like Lana Turner is still a hooker.
Hey!
She just looks like Lana Turner.
She is Lana Turner.
What?
She is Lana Turner.
Welcome back to 25 Years, 4 Beers, where we have just finished rewatching L.A. Confidential from 1997, and also have had a few new beers, and we'll have a Strange Brew that we'll review in a segment coming up. But as usual, we jump right into our reaction segment that we call High Fidelity.
Top 5 side ones, track ones.
Where we discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching the film. Buckle in for some positive praise.
It became abundantly clear watching this that our construct of the top 5 for ease of discussion and focus clearly was not designed for something as masterful.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be this. And it's also, if you love us crapping on movies, just,
at least 5.
Give us a download and then move on, because you're not going to like this. So we're not going to crap on this. So do you have do you want to start? Or I
go, please.
So I guess my number one takeaway, in rewatching these movies the last 2 years that we've done this, you start to look at things sort of differently. Like, not like we're pros or anything like that, but just rewatching them. And
yep.
I had forgotten or never realized the severe attention to detail that this movie has.
Yeah.
From quote unquote little things like, Bud shooting that guy and the bullet pops out of the back and hits the t-shirt.
Yeah.
That's just not necessary. And yet somebody was like, that could happen. And, but beyond that, like, what were the other ones I had listed here? The strategic placement of hands throughout the thing. There's throwaway dialogue that is really key to the whole thing. Attention to detail in the sets and the design across the board. I mean, just somebody along the way was like, no, this needs to be detailed.
Yes.
And there's no, that I could find, there's no like failure on that level of attention to detail. So that was sort of maybe not number one, but just one of the things that I like struck me was like, holy cow. Like you mentioned too, the ripping up of the chair from the floor.
Yes.
That later he uses to shoot the guy through. And you're just like, I know it was written that way and it was likely in the novel, but you just go, really? Like you have to that's an attention to detail by somebody along the way that is just incredible.
Yeah. Like in the scene where they identify the woman's body, they're walking through really quick, the cops in the background. One of the morticians is like Rita Hayworth. Yep. And it's just a throwaway line. It has nothing to do with the plot until it does later. And it's all these little things that come up. One thing that I thought about was, obviously, I can't speak to the novel. I have not read it, but...
Yet.
Exactly. This is easily one of the best screenplays I've ever seen in terms of that dense, compacting information in such a digestible way. I mean, we paused so many times to get, new beers.
Yeah.
And I remember I think about an hour and 26 in. I was like, how is this far in?
Yeah, there's
or
another
30 minutes in.
50 minutes
flown
in.
by. Like we have so much left and they've condensed so much. The first 30 minutes is just a phenomenal entry into these 3 main detectives that you're going to be, kind of having the story told through. And then you can just, for me, one thing that stood out was you can just feel it change when Exley goes to the Night Owl Massacre. Prior to that, it's been, and that's actually maybe the first time the score kicks in.
Yeah, in substance,
like
there's some music.
Yep. But that whole vibe of the first half hour is really stylized and kind of that swinging, lighthearted LA scene with obviously some corruption going on. And it's like, oh my gosh, look at these things changing. But it pivots hard to a tense and harsh scene of the bloody murder and carnage. And it's like, oh, clearly the vacuum of crime syndicates is going to go down and it's going to get dicey. And that's what I love about this movie is it kind of sucker punches you in that first half hour of like, oh, this is really well done. I'm kind of tracking the details. And like you said, the attention to detail of, they don't have to say the name, but they just type the names of the characters,
right.
The 3 main detectives. as if it's kind of written on like a crime, summary or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you get the access to each of them and what they kind of stand for. And then it just kicks in and it does not stop moving. And it is
no,
tense.
not from the Night Owl scene on.
Yeah. Yep. From then on, it just feels like, and the layers that unpack, or when Bud is talking to the porn guy or the
Pratchett.
Yes, Pratchett, excuse me. Yeah. As the garage is closing, it says, "Whatever you desire."
Yep.
Which is the Fleur de Lis tagline, which he doesn't know, but we know.
And he really didn't even, I don't even know if he ever does hear that again.
No.
It's just,
but we start putting the pieces together for this mystery, and it is so good. Yeah, the attention to detail is incredible. So yeah, that's my second point, or first point after yours, is that screenplay is obviously well deserving of the Oscar. I don't know how they condensed so much into like 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, apparently they went through 7 rewrites of this before they even gave it to Elroy for approval.
Really?
Yeah, and I guess my understanding as I was, doing my extensive research was the studio did not want either Hansen or Helgeland on this, especially Helgeland, because he hadn't really done much before then.
Sure.
Because they wanted established writers. And so Helgeland and Hansen worked on this for 2 years, and Helgeland did it for free. Like, for 2 years, he was unpaid. Yeah, they wanted to make this movie. So clearly they knew what they wanted out of this. And this book was written in 1990. So it was optioned almost right away.
Sure.
But it wasn't made until about 5-6 years later that they started making it. So somewhere along the line, these two got involved, and they ended up writing it for 7 different before even Elroy got to see it. I thought the beginning, I actually thought the first, I think it's one of the best opening 10 to 30 minutes of any movie you could think of, because it gives you like the bloody Christmas scene, which does tie in to the grander thing.
Yep.
But not like those guys involved are not like the perps, the Hispanic guys are not involved in this, but like the cops are, and it's sort of catalyst into it. That's 10 minutes in.
Yep.
So you get a good little lead up. Then you have a intense moment, and then that's your catalyst into the rest of the story. Like the first half hour of this, it doesn't give you a ton of exposition in a sense of like where their background is and who they came from, but you learn exactly enough of what you want to care about these guys to move on. And then the night all happens, and you're like, all right, now we're off to the races here.
That's one of my main points too. Exactly. That first half hour culminating after that jailhouse brawl is perfect because of how it introduces the 3 main cops. So Jack Vincennes, he is clearly the showman. Mm-hmm. He's just there somewhat for show, it seems like, getting paid. He doesn't even go to intervene. He calls White to say, hey, you get your partner. He's going to kill somebody. So it doesn't even get in there until he gets kind of accosted by the situation.
He gets blood on his uniform or his suit. Yeah.
Exactly. His aesthetic is damaged.
Right.
So he's got to now react to it. So that's a great call out. White intervening right away, gets, hey, you got to get your partner, hops up, goes in, and has no issue fighting.
No.
Like, gets, a verbal assault to him and throws it back and just gets into the melee.
Yeah.
And that's how Bud White really is. And then actually, he can't do a damn thing.
No.
All the other officers clearly don't respect him. He's not involved. He cannot even do anything, and literally gets pushed out of the sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me was what a perfect encapsulation of those 3 characters, of their kind of core essence, to the point where right after it actually goes into the aftermath with all these discussions with the DA and Dudley Smith, the chief or whatever, and shows his smarts in his own view are, more important than physical. Basically tells these higher ups, here's what you should do to have this actually work out well, knowing it's going to cause some damage. But that, to me, exactly, that 30 minutes of laying out so much and planting seeds for this mystery to come, that is just one of the best opening sequences, first half hour. Totally agree. Just incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just for me, there's not a dull moment. A lot of times in a movie, I think the best of the best movies that I could list off, like the top 25 of my favorites, and it all have examples of there's not a dull moment along the way, and this is that one. And what even beyond what we're talking about is the night owl in the first half hour. Boy, that interrogation scene is just outstanding. It is. It's masterful. It's an example of building suspense, but also shifting the focus of the story. Like this is where you're kind of like being led in this direction, and then you know that these three guys are not the killers in this. Like you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You kind of just know as a viewer.
Yes.
These guys aren't
Something's off.
Something's off here. But that scene is just masterful in playing back and forth. And at the beginning, it's like, oh, no, these are the Night Owl killers. And then they go to the Wheat Kid and, wait, what now?
Yes.
And the back and forth there between them, the building of suspense, that entire interrogation scene is just, it's perfect, really, in this film.
Well, you talk about that throwaway line. We commented on it. So they show up, Jack and Exley, to get those three kids. And they get there seemingly early. And someone else is already there.
Yes.
They say, somebody beat us to this. And they walk in, and the two other cops there. And right off the bat, you're like, something smells fishy.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Why would you have gotten here first if you didn't know? Okay, so we go through it, and yes, one's trigger happy, like wants to kill him right away. So it's like off the rails right away. And then, yes, comes the interrogation scene. And what I love about that is what I wrote down was, yeah, totally, it's incredibly tense and suspenseful. But seeing Exley's, up until that point, pretty smug demeanor quickly fall apart, where he's got it figured out, and then all of a sudden, wait, we are not talking about the same things.
Yeah,
I am trying to get you to
confess.
Thank you to this, but you're talking about something else. Who's this woman? Where is she? And meanwhile, watching Bud in the background with his baggage around violence against women, just seething with anger, and comes in and does the Russian roulette thing.
He wanted Lewis to lose his cherry, but that wasn't enough. So things got out of hand, and you made her bleed. She bled on your clothes, so you burned the clothes.
Told you that.
Now listen to me. If that girl is still alive, she's the only chance you've got.
I think she's alive.
You think?
Then where is she now?
Did you leave her someplace? Just sell her out?
Tell me where she is.
Move!
White! 1 and 6! Where's the girl? White, I have this under control. Put the weapon down!
Here's the girl!
What?
Sylvester Fitch. 109 Avalon. Brown Corner House. Upstairs.
To have it solved. And that's what is such a great thing, that is so intense, and it just peels back even more layers of the cops.
Layers, man. Yep.
And then it just, from then, at that point, it's off the races, because then you see Exley going to figure out, okay, where could they have been with the transcript? And yeah, absolutely not a dull moment. But that was the thing I wrote down as well, is that interrogation scene is just absolutely incredible. My question, I'll get back to the questions on this, but like the two cops that arrived there first, we know in the end that one of them was corrupt, but now I'm wondering, like, was the other guy? Yeah.
The one who, like, does end up helping Exley? Obviously, he probably wasn't corrupt, you know what I mean? Like, or was he? Like, because he would have been involved in planting of the shotguns because he was there. Yep. So, like, but is he starting to feel bad? I mean, there's a lot of layers to this that are not.
Exley because he wanted to track him. Like, he saw Exley's onto something. So I need to be.
Oh, it could be. Yeah. Yeah. It almost seemed like he was, like, trying to be good, though. Like, they make him seem like, could be one way or another.
Yes, exactly. So playing off that, to that point, another main point I had was the decision to have montages shown condensing tons of story and detail into a few minutes with music from the time playing over it.
At the beginning, you mean?
The beginning, but then later with, like, the traffic, like the reveal of the like the freeway
Santa Monica
system.
Freeway. Yeah.
Yes, but then even in the middle point
extends
with, like,
time.
Yes, they condense so much into those sequences of all the different characters into a few minutes. Just genius. I didn't quite appreciate that watching it for years, but seeing it now is like they do so much to expand the story, but in a pretty, narrative-less, dialogue-less scenes, but it kind of sets the mood for the time period and moves it along. Just fantastic. Fantastic.
So we're going to talk about the twist here in a sec. So if you, again, at this point, we've already talked about some stuff, but there is a major twist in this. So just be forewarned again.
Yep.
Okay. I think one of the great movie twists in history is with the Edmund is, or Dudley is
Dudley
the bad guy,
is the
right?
bad guy.
And, rewatching this, and I've rewatched it multiple times, and you have as well, but now rewatching it, you sort of like look for clues or anything like that.
Yeah. Where's the tell?
There's no tell. No tell whatsoever. It's only after when he's talking to Dudley and they say, and he makes some comment, excuse me, not about Rollo Tomasi, but just like, I'll have to look it back up again, but it's like, he makes some comment about at the whole group meeting of the, cops.
Yep.
And he says, like, you never know somebody until they're whatever. I can't remember what he says exactly, but there's little clues after the fact that had they put those lines before would have been dead giveaways, but they put them after, and now it's just like supporting what we already now know.
Yes.
And it's really with about an hour left, but it is a just perfect twist. Something's off.
Yes.
But I don't remember thinking it was Dudley.
No.
Right? Of just thinking like, no, it's got to be him or whatever. Like you just go perfect. And then he doesn't have what most movies do, which is give him some stupid freaking monologue that just explains it all away afterwards. He just watches him die.
Yes.
And then we get the immediate reveal where he says Rollo Tomasi to Edmund. Excellent. And you're just like, what? Like, just, it's all within about 5 minute span. And it's one of the best reveals because it wasn't hinted towards.
No.
A big bad, somebody obviously was in charge of this. That was hinted towards.
Yep.
James Cromwell, this is the guy from freaking Babe, ma'am.
Exactly.
Like he's like, this is this likable dude, and it's perfect casting.
Yes.
It's so well done. The reveal of that is perfect. But then again, it's not until right towards the end that things start to unravel. Like it's so well done. It's one of my favorite reveals in movie history.
I remember people in the theater literally gasping when he shot him.
Interesting. I didn't see it in the theater. Yeah.
I saw it on a date.
Oh,
and
good for you.
It was not a great date movie in high school.
No.
It was definitely like, oh, this is way more serious than I anticipated. And with all due respect to the woman at the time, it was clear of like, oh, this is not going anywhere because you did not enjoy it. So it was like, it's a good litmus test. But I say it because I remember, people truly gasped in the theater and were shocked. And I remember shocked too. But to that point, yes. What's interesting about all the timing of it is, yes, it reveals to the audience this is the main villain that we were not prepared for. And I agree. I was watching, trying my best diligently before then to see any kind of tell. And, it makes sense once you see it, but it's not like,
because everyone's corrupt or whatever.
Yes.
Yep.
But the great part is, to the throwaway line we talk about, is that when Exley and Jack are starting to bond, and you have this vulnerability that Jack doesn't remember why he's a cop.
Yeah.
Because he's gone so far out, and the kid that he set up died. You can see his crisis of faith for what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what's even more impactful. This character that seems so effortless and schmoozy throughout everything is starting to unravel, but not giant, but Kevin Spacey, again, caveats aside,
with the caveat,
his facial acting is unreal in this. The tiny things he does when he is showing his self-loathing and his crisis of faith. So that sets up when he dies, it's even more impactful because you start to see him start to turn and feel like this. And then, yes, that reveal to the audience. And a few minutes later, it reveals. So Dudley's work is so effortless throughout all this time to keep him behind the scenes. And in a few moments, reveals himself to Exley. And that's what I love. And I remember sitting here being like, oh my God, I totally forgot. Where he cops to it. inadvertently.
Unknowingly,
Just
all
said,
thanks to...
He asked about this character or this guy, what's this about? And actually, and Guy Pearce, credit to him, plays it so well of just totally face, like, don't move.
Yeah.
The villain just revealed himself to me, and he's the chief of police. Okay, we're just going to keep it up. And that, I agree, that few minutes is just unbelievable. Yep. And I agree, one of the best twists of all time. Sorry we spoiled it, but again, 25
you've
years.
had plenty of warning, and it's been 25 years, so it's on you at this point.
But yeah, the reveal to the audience and then the inadvertent reveal to the main character, or one of the main characters, is one of the best twists combo to me. Absolutely.
And it's not at the end. So often twists are right at the end, like, oh, look, it was me.
Back and, oh, yeah.
No, you have it, and it's, oh, man.
And I agree. Everything thereafter is just watching him behind the scenes, like he was doing, where these partners he was working with slowly get picked off. And you're like, oh, you guys did not know what you were getting into with this guy that was going to take over. So, yes, I totally agree. That was one thing I had to write about. So, I think it's, somewhat on point when we think about Kim Basinger was the only acting nomination for this film.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the
main three cancel each other out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Arguably, in my opinion, Crow is the best of the three of these, but you could make an argument for each of the main three.
Yes.
So I agree.
But watching it again, I do think, and it's funny to think about the time where she clearly was going to win. It
was pretty clear.
Like everything across the board was like, she's going to win no matter what.
She hadn't been in a movie in 3 years at that point.
Yes. And it's her only nomination ever.
Ever. Yep.
But I think she's really good in this, because she's not necessarily one that I would always feel like could stand out for her acting talent.
Never. Yeah.
She's very beautiful, and that works to her advantage in Hollywood. But I think, when she's waiting for Bud on her doorstep, knowing what she did, and then when he hits her and he realizes he's been like his abusive father, I really, really think it's great how she holds herself as that broken woman masquerading as the confident vixen, but then is vulnerable around Bud. And she has a moment with her mouth where she reacts to what he does that I think is just so understated. So seeing the other people, I know you love Joan Cusack.
Who were the other four?
It was Joan Cusack.
Yep.
Does anybody here know how many times I've had to watch Funny Lady?
It was a sequel. She was under contract.
Fuck Barbara Streisand!
I know it was Gloria from Titanic.
Older woman from Titanic.
Yeah.
Julianne Moore, Boogie Nights, and then Minnie Driver, Good Will Hunting.
I see. For me personally, I would end up putting Julianne Moore and Joan Allen ahead of her, or Joan Cusack ahead of her. But that does not mean that it's a bad performance.
Yeah,
at all. Like, that's a personal preference thing. At about halfway through the movie, I was like, I actually wrote down, I was like, why did she win this again? Because the first half, I think she's fine, but there's nothing to her character. It's not until the back half that she's a reactionary character. She's like she's reacting to what's happening in the world because she can't take charge. She's not a take charge character.
It's all artifice.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm fine. I'm obviously fine that she won. It's not like a travesty that she won this or anything like that. I would not have put her above those other two, but that does not mean it's bad. Her performance is really good.
Yeah.
But it is somewhat of an injustice that it's the only one of the performances nominated out of this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I know Robin Williams would have won for Good Will Hunting, like, regardless. It doesn't matter. But just, bro, really?
Yes.
Like, these three. But how do you pick?
Exactly.
I would put Spacey at the bottom of those three, and yet he was so good in that.
So good.
But Guy Pearce, man, we talked about him in Memento. He's one of the six main actors in this. He's the only one without an Oscar nomination. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
But I remember watching at the time and reading, stuff beforehand that these two Australian actors were going to be, and I don't remember either of them before this movie. I don't think I've seen a movie before them, and so watching
but it was like Crow and what was that? Not Synchronicity
with Denzel.
Yeah, with Denzel. Or whatever. He was the bad guy. But aside from that,
like I remember being like, these guys came out of nowhere in my view, and they were unreal and how talented they were. So yes, it is a bit of a travesty they weren't nominated. But
I read a story that had Elroy was in Australia talking about the book, and Guy Pearce, who had already been cast in the movie but it hadn't really been announced, was in the audience, and somebody asked, like, can any of your books be made into movies? And he's like, well, funny you mentioned that. LA Confidential is going to be made into a movie, and 2 local boys are going to be in it, Russell Crowe and Guy Pearce. And the crowd was like, not booing, but they were just beside themselves. They're like, what? They did not believe Elroy at all.
Oh,
and so Pierce was like very reluctant. And about a year later, he was making the film, and he was just like, he was really worried of the reception of it because nobody believed that these 2 Aussies would be able to be these LA cops.
And I think X is a really tough charter in that he
almost turned it down.
He's so sanctimonious.
He almost turned it down because on script, he was almost too goody.
Yes.
But it takes a good performance to give you the like battling within, of what he's fighting.
Because the Boy Scout at the beginning, where he's just pissing off everybody because of his focus to the rules, it's like, dude, you are not going to last long.
No.
And then see that crack. I agree. Pierce was, they're great.
They're all good.
So,
yeah.
Yes.
You know, I guess one thing I was watching it going, look, we both believe that this is a better movie than Titanic. I understand why Titanic won. It was a massive hit, unlike anything we had seen before, and it's a really good movie.
Spectacle,
but production design, bro, really? Right? Come on, like
exactly.
This is a damn near perfect production design movie. If you're gonna make a movie as a production designer, you're gonna go watch LA Confidential. Don't watch Titanic. Titanic was easy, quote unquote.
Well, you can
the
build
guy
a
sitting in a
ship
basement
and have
but
it be
like
a stage.
all of the and it's really good production design. Don't get me wrong. All of the costumes, which is a separate category, but the sets are really impressive. But there are 45 different locations in this movie.
Jeez.
80 different speaking parts. It was in my brain. But there are 45 different locations in this movie, and all of them have to be period authentic. And by the way, at that time, it was the law that no building could be taller than City Hall in LA. So now you have to find locations and you have to find ways of shooting it, which just goes into the cinematography, which was nominated, and lost to Titanic. But you go like, none of those buildings could be taller than City Hall at the time. And just to really go period piece, if you're going to throw me a period piece on a ship in the ocean, it's a lot easier than period piece in LA that you have to like have 45 different locations on.
Yes.
Anyway, I have one other thought, but do you have any others?
My final one, because we played off a lot. So I absolutely love movies, shows, books, whatever, any kind of like art media like this, which demands that you pay attention and treat you like an intelligent adult. Given I love, and we'll talk about after this with a happy hour, mindless, simple stuff, crazy, weird stuff. Like I love emotionally.
I have some in-depth thoughts about our happy hour, but I
can't wait for that too.
On.
But I mean, like emotionally manipulative. I don't care. I want to feel something, enjoy it, whatever it is. But I really appreciate complex and accessible complex
when it works.
Yes.
There are some that just make you think and you're like confusing. Yeah. This wasn't my last thought, but one of the other things was like, it's so rare for a movie that doesn't have loose ends. It wraps it up nicely, but you don't sit there after the fact. I don't love movies that make you go like, oh, now the audience gets to fill in the blank of what happens at the end. No. MFR, I paid you to tell me a story.
Is the top spinning?
Not to give me, not to make me be the decider of this.
Yeah.
That's why you got paid.
Exactly.
But no, you need to be able to think, but it is not, that is one knock on Christopher Nolan is sometimes it's almost insulting how much you make me think, because it's like, come on, you got to give me some answers along the way here, dude. Like, this movie is a perfect example of somebody that here's a story, here's a mystery, and it fills in the blanks, but it makes you pay attention, because if you look away for 10 minutes or you're on your phone for 5 minutes or something, you're going to miss some stuff. So.
Even typing notes, I was like, okay, I got to make sure I'm like still paying notes. Like,
you were typing notes in the fight scene between Edmund or Exley and White, and I was like, You're typing right now.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Like, we're
They're
so near the
fighting.
end. Yeah, exactly. But I agree. It's just, I want to be intrigued. I like brain hurt movies where it's like, oh my gosh, but this is just intriguing. It moves you along and it's accessible. It explains stuff. And it is obviously, like we talked about, one of the best twists of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, across the board, there's nothing wrong with this movie.
No, my final point is it's about as close to a perfect movie as I can think of.
Right.
There are a few in my book that are perfect or dang near close. And Godfather 2 is up there. For some people, Shawshank Redemption is up there, although I do think it has some flaws in its filmmaking, but it is damn near close to perfect, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
And this is the same way. Like you saw, there was a string at one point attached to the DA or whatever. Yeah, there are some.
Sure.
But it's almost impossible to have a perfect movie, right?
Yes.
So there are, arguably 7 is another one that you just go for what you set out to do.
Yep.
Godfather 2 are a couple of mine. But they're almost perfect. Actually, Wall-E is almost a perfect movie as well. Yep. And Dark Knight. And so you have other movies that are just almost perfect. And this is up there, and it is forgotten to a certain extent. Not among movie buffs or whatever, but this should be remembered as a better, like Shawshank, for example, which benefited from cable being able to show TNT, it owes all through the 90s and early 2000s. That's what it owes, right? And it was never going to beat Forrest Gump, and this movie was never going to beat Titanic, because those were just two juggernauts of a film.
Yep.
But you could argue that they are by far better films of those years.
Yeah.
This was the best film of that year, and Shawshank was the best film of 93 or 94. So yeah, this is about as close. If people ask me about a perfect movie, this is on my list.
Yes.
And it's a shame that people just are. A friend of mine today was like, never heard of that movie. I was like,
how do you decorate the cave you live in?
I know. I mean, granted, she was only like 5 when it came out, but still, you're like, if you like good movies, and at this point, if you're listening to us, you haven't watched it, still watch it, because we knew the twists before.
Oh, yeah.
Still enjoyed it, but
it's still a sucker
you
punch.
should have probably stopped and watched it at this point. That's on you.
That's on you. It's 25 years. But
yes, and it's on you. All right, well, as much as we would like to continue sucking on this movie, our next segment is Drinking Buddies, the sequel.
Let's get weird.
Where we review the beers that we had while rewatching the film and give our professional and amazingly perfect ratings. Tim is going to remind us of our beers. We also added another one along the way that technically I covered in the past, but we'll just talk about it. So please stop what you're doing and listen to Tim.
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
We started with Montgomery Brewing. I guess all of them. But the first one we had was Lemon Sass. And I don't know what SAS,
I don't know either if it's
I think it's a head brewer. SAS stops him with his booming voice on the side. So maybe it's a name or acronym.
I could have asked, but
anyways.
Oh, good for you.
So it was a kind of a lemony wheat beer. I would say
it's a shandy, not a shandy.
But it is like 4.25 for me.
Mm-hmm.
This, I find a lot of shandy type of lemon things kind of cloying and almost soury.
Yeah.
Where I can sign up for that, but I want something that's going to be refreshing, sweating outside, enjoy this, down it. And I can't stand like Line Kugler's other shit like that.
Ugh, they're fake.
This is so good.
Yeah, this Lemon Fresh from Bad Habits, the only other shandy-ish thing that I would seek out. In fact, I was going to drive up there.
Oh,
but
maybe they don't have crowlers.
Well, I was going to drive up there, but then they also were out of their Applewood, or, their Apple Ale.
Yeah.
They ran out of that on Friday, and I was going to get both. And I was like, I'm not going to drive up for that.
Yeah.
So I went to Montgomery and found this one, and
it's really good.
Really good. I mean, if I were sitting out on the patio on a 90-degree day, this would be crushable.
So, Mr. Turtle.
Whoa, dude. Mr. Turtle is my father. Name's Crush.
Crush?
I have a 4 as well. I mean, just for more from a style of beer standpoint.
Yep.
The thing I like about it's sweet, but you get the beer, like whatever wheat beer is, you get the beer flavor to it, and which is why some people probably don't like it. So I had a 4 out of 5 as well.
Yeah, it's not too sweet. I like it. And then we had their Long Ball Lager, and for me, it was a solid lager. I kind of
it's hard to get excited about a lager,
but
in general,
knowing how bad they could be.
Yeah.
But it was honestly, they talk about excuse me, long ball like baseball stuff. It did kind of taste like it made me think I was at a ballpark.
Yeah, it was
in terms of the flavor, but much better. It was a 3.75 for me. It's very, 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 very tasty.
Same. It's again, I don't know if I would ever rate a lager higher than 4. Just from a style of beer standpoint, maybe 4.25. But there's a lot of flavor in this lager that's just not in many other ones. A lot of times you drink a lager and you're like, tastes like beer.
Exactly.
It's fine. It gets me there. But again, it's a good summer beer. If I were at a ballpark,
yeah,
it'd be a perfect baseball beer.
And then we had the Dragon Star Galactica Kettle Sour with dragon fruit and mango. It was kind of a weird combo for me. The mango and dragon fruit I enjoyed it. It was a 3.5 for me.
Good enough.
But it was kind of, at times I was like, this tastes off. But then I'd have more and be like, no, it's just a combo of the melony and the dragon fruit together. I liked it. It's definitely refreshing, but I don't know what I thought it might be, but it had a good sour, I'll say, but it felt, I don't know.
Their sours are really good. We had a sour for the Amelie episode, I think it was, that we generally don't speak of.
Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue à 20 ans et 4 bières.
I'm pretty sure we had a Montgomery, the berry sour at that time. It might have been for the...
Yeah, I do remember the berry sour.
Anyway,
yep.
So they do really good sours. I like this. I had a 4 out of 5, but again, I didn't mind the combination of flavors. I think they do a good kettle sour. I don't know necessarily the difference, but they do taste different. I don't know how they make it, but you're always like, this does taste different. I had a 4 out of 5 though. It's good.
Yeah, it's good. And then we had their double IPA, named Double
IPA.
And I gotta say, in the world of hazies, which I thoroughly enjoy,
sure,
and just have a blast with, it's nice every now and then to have a hardcore traditional bitter style.
We've had them a couple times recently.
Dark. That's what that was. It was a 4 for me. Yeah. It's really a nice traditional old school double IPA.
I actually have a 4.25 largely because I appreciate the crushability.
Crush.
I like that I can have a double IPA that is solidly. It's 8 point something % or whatever, and it's ABV. You don't want to have too many of them, but I could drink this without having to sip it. Yes. Oftentimes you have a double IPA that's like, oh, this is going to take me 45 minutes to an hour to just get through,
to work through,
and we split it. So I like their double a lot. I had a 4.25.
It's good. And then Aslan Beer Company out of...
Did you want to talk about the peanut butter first?
Yeah. So then we also...
Technically, I had it in the past, but you haven't covered it.
We haven't covered it here. But yes, then because the movie is quite long.
And we shared. Yes.
That's true. Yep. Then we had the fifth beer from Montgomery was their Peanut Buster Porter. And for me, this is like a 4.25.
Yep.
It's one of those solid... The peanut tastes like peanut and not like a synthetic paste or powder or other shit they put in there. But I like that it's not chocolately.
No.
Like those two always come together. And this is just a porter with the peanut butter. And it's really, really good.
So they actually, I agree. And I have a 4.25 as well. And it's this one and Bad Habits Hipster Peanut are the only two peanut porter kind of things. Waconia's got a fine one. And there are examples of others, but most of them...
Dangerous Man or whatever.
Yeah. But most of them are powdered peanut.
Mm-hmm.
And this and Hipster Peanut are both... They use actual creamy peanut butter in them, and there's a huge difference.
Yes.
It's just not fakey flavored. It's not chalky. That's what you get a lot of times with the fakey peanut butter. It's chalky on your tongue.
Feel it in your teeth.
This is absolutely one of my favorites. I'm glad we had it, but I'm glad we split it because, again, it's so hot. I wasn't going to... I was surprised they had it right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had a 4.25 as well.
And then our Strange Brew that we enjoyed while talking here is... I don't know if you enjoyed it, but we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Aslan Beer Company out of Virginia. They produced I'm not sure why they call it, but it's with a baseball bat. It's an IPA brewed with peanut butter and strawberries. I gotta say, I was surprised by this. I thoroughly enjoyed it as a strawberry IPA.
Mm-hmm.
Peanut butter, maybe it's because we're coming off of one that has a prominent flavor of peanut butter. I don't know that I ever got a hint of it.
On the mouth feel kind of a thing, you can definitely taste it, but it doesn't. The flavor doesn't come out. The effects of it are there.
Yeah, the strawberries were way overpowering,
which
in a fine way.
Yeah,
it's a solid strawberry IPA.
Yeah,
but for me, it's. I'm glad we shared it.
No, yeah,
I don't know that I could have had a tall boy.
No. Thank you, Thank you, liquor stores, for selling singles.
Yes, exactly. It was a 4 for me for the style
Really?
of that. Because of I was thinking it'd be way too like either one or the other.
Yeah.
Give me more strawberry. But I didn't not like it. It just for a strawberry peanut or a strawberry one, great. Peanut, no.
I have a 3.5. And again, I think we've talked about it in the past. I think the IPA version of this is a solid IPA, but it feels like to me that they took a somewhat okay IPA and then threw some flavor on top of it.
True. They're like, we got to sell this.
It's okay. So let's just throw some flavor on top. It's unique for sure. And so if you can pull off a unique beer that's drinkable, I got to give you at least a 3.5. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I agree. There's no peanut butter flavor. There's the effects on my tongue or whatever. But I get like hints of, like if you have cereal, like it almost tastes like Fruit Loops after, like,
Sure.
it's just not, it's drinkable and I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
And, on the happy hour, we'll talk about another one that I can't stand. So like, I had a 3.5, so it's fine. Our final segment then of the episode is Quiz Show.
The exciting quiz program, 21.
Where in our research for the film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you, our dear listeners. I do have a couple. How are you doing on this one?
I got 3.
Okay. I will go first.
Cool.
So you are a book guy. You love your books. You love your novels. You're the guy. I'll be curious if you know this. So L.A. Confidential is the 3rd installment on James Ellroy's L.A. Quartet series. Okay. Can you name the other 3?
I knew it was a trilogy, but I don't know the other names.
There's 4. It's a quartet. So actually you didn't know it was. Yeah.
That's right. I did remember reading it. I have not had anything.
One you absolutely know if I were to say it, which is the first one in that series is Black Dahlia.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's in the same series.
They made a movie of that.
Correct, after this, but yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Black Dahlia is first, then The Big Nowhere is second.
Okay.
LA Confidential is third, and then White Jazz is fourth.
Huh.
All from like 1985 to 1994 or whatever. So, I mean, he was pretty prolific along that time.
Well, I'm going to blow through 4
I was going to say, yeah, you're not going to start with LA Confidential. You are absolutely going to, yeah. So Black Dahlia was first. Yep.
Huh. I did not know the names. Good job. LA Confidential was the first time director Curtis Hanson worked with the majority of, as you mentioned, the star-studded cast.
Mm-hmm.
However, he did work before with actor David Strathairn in what 1994 family suspense thriller?
Oh my God, The River Wild.
Yes, with Meryl Streep.
Love that movie, actually.
It's so good.
Yeah, I almost said The Big Wild. I was like, no.
Yes. I watched it over the pandemic, I think the last couple years. It totally holds up.
Yeah,
it is
legitimately
so good.
Yep.
Yes. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Totally, yeah. All right, so Danny DeVito and Kevin Spacey appear together twice after this film. One was in The Big Kahuna in 1999, I think it was. And the other is in what 2002 comedy that we may cover if we have time later this year.
Oh my gosh. Comedy?
Yep.
I forget what's on our docket.
So I will give you a hint when you're ready.
I'm going to take a look.
Oh, you're going to cheat and look
No,
online?
I already have folders in my Google Drive for what I'm
okay.
going to do. I'm going to totally cheat.
Good blimey. Nerd alert!
No. Both of them play parodies of... They're in a movie parody of the movie that it's in, where Danny DeVito plays Dr. Evil.
Oh, that's right.
And I think his
Goldmember.
Yeah, Austin Powers Goldmember. Yeah. Yes. I can't remember if he is Dr. Evil,
what he plays, but oh my gosh.
The two of them are in Goldmember in the film version of Austin Powers or whatever. So yeah.
That's good. That's really good. Speaking of collaborations, Russell Crowe and Kim Basinger made a somewhat unlikely couple in Cop Bud White and prostitute Lynn Bracken. But they would be seen together again in what 2016 buddy comedy / mystery.
Oh, this is going to bug me because I know this.
I can see you working it through.
I am, but I don't have the time to get there all the way there. So I'm
Ryan Gosling co-star.
Yeah.
Shane Black.
Yes, thank you. The Nice Guys.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting here going like, I'm watching them. What a great movie that is.
Oh, that's so good, right?
What a great movie.
Oh my gosh.
Also, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I can't wait to cover that.
I know, me too. Yes.
All right, I got one more.
Me too.
Oh man, I should have gotten that one faster.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so I'm curious if you, I don't know, we'll see. The principal 6 actors in this film that we already talked about.
Yep.
Spacey, Basinger, Crowe, Pierce, DeVito, and Cromwell all have been in superhero films either before or after this. Care to name?
Basinger was Batman.
Yep.
Spacey was Lex Luthor.
In Superman Returns, yep.
Guy Pearce was in Iron Man 3.
Correct.
Well, Crowe was Superman's dad.
Yep.
Kal-El.
In Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. Sorry, Cromwell and...
Cromwell and DeVito. DeVito should be easy here.
Oh my gosh. For superhero movies?
Yep.
I can't even... What? I'm drawing a blank. Okay, I'll come back to him. Cromwell, I don't know the two of them offhand. I'll maybe get there, but...
Well, Cromwell was in Spider-Man 3.
Oh, that's been a long time.
Yeah, because he was Gwen Stacy's dad or whatever, I think it was, or he was...
Oh,
yeah, he was in...
sure.
Yep. I'm going to let you figure out DeVito, because Danny DeVito is one of the all-time great villains.
Oh my God. Penguin.
There you go.
What am I doing? Sorry. Yes, thank you. Oh,
I'm going to
gosh.
let you get there.
Yes, we would get
on
there.
your
Sorry.
own.
I was overwhelmed with the other ones. Yeah, 6 of them. But yeah.
6? Yeah, the top 6 all were in superhero
Oh my God.
movies.
That's... That's good. Wow, that's a good one. Composer Jerry Goldsmith, of course, nominated for LA Confidential score, which is odd because it's not a prominent. Well, I mean, it's a fine score.
It's fine.
But
yeah, I mean, it's very ominous. Yeah,
yes.
but
He's composed 176 movies before his passing in 2004.
Yep.
Of those films, he was nominated 17 times for an Oscar, and he won once for the score to what 1976 horror classic directed by Richard Donner, starring Gregory Peck. Somewhat a deep cut.
Well, immediately I was thinking The Exorcist, but it's not because he's not in that. But it is The Omen.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I was sitting here going like, God. But my favorite Jerry Goldsmith score of all time is The Edge.
Oh, right? That movie is so underrated.
Yeah.
So
good. Also
so
1987. So
that's true.
Just FYI, in case that comes up later.
Yes, that's a really
Speaking
good
of
score.
like this score on this, I will say in this movie, I appreciate that they did not film it in a noir style. And
Totally.
the dialogue is not super cheesy noirish. Like they don't really dumb it down. And the score doesn't either. So I think that might be part of it.
Yes.
It's really well done on what it is.
Yeah, it's a noir vibe without like the stylistic kind of trappings of the dialogue around it. I feel like it could take place at the time.
Yeah, well, they filmed it that way. They filmed it in modern style, so it really could look that way.
Yes.
Any other thoughts?
If you haven't seen it, spend the time.
Oh, you can't even begin.
One of the best ever.
Yep.
So good. I'm glad we did this. It's kind of nice to play with time. So
that will bring us to the end of the episode. Stay tuned for our 25 years, 4 beers upcoming happy hour on The Fifth Element. And looking towards July, we will be rewatching Road to Perdition and Reign of Fire, 2 eerily similar films. Totally.
Yeah.
On the same level of quality and yes, exactly.
A graphic novel, crime saga, and a
Dragons.
Dragon.
There we go. We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Find us on Twitter at years_beers and on Facebook, or head to 20years4beers.com. This has been 20 years or 25 years, 4 beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks. I want to feel something.
Sucking on this movie. On the mouth. Chinese food. Here we go. Let's get some Chinese food in our belly.